This episode of LAPcast is brought to you by Seagram's Escapes, specifically the Pink Pineapple Passion. We got actual alcohol here.
Yes,
He had
we
a
do.
sip.
But it's also brought to you by Burger King. Have it your way.
We are not sponsored by Burger King.
Or
No.
Seagram's.
Or Seagram's.
No, but they
Or
both...
Dr. Thunder, which is the Walmart brand. Dr. Pepper. Or Barks Root Beer.
Yep.
No, but they taste good, except for the root beer. I don't like the root beer.
I like root beer.
Ugh. Now, what we are going to be talking about
We're
today...
definitely not sponsored by Paramount, I can tell you that much.
Fuck no.
We're not sponsored by
Or
Paramount,
Fox.
Or Fox.
The Skydance.
or Disney, or Sony, or Universal.
Warner
Universal,
Bros., you might want to sponsor us after this episode, though.
yeah.
Hold on.
Universal
Honestly,
wishes that we were sponsored by them.
I'm gonna try
No,
and
Paramount
open
wishes
this.
they were sponsored. Yeah, no, I already opened it. It's fine.
We're
Okay.
It didn't do anything.
I'm
Believe it or not.
I'm lightheaded. They're
He had a sip.
mixing
Literally
the
a
thing.
sip.
I clearly
That would taste nasty.
Well,
If you mix, he said there something about mixing. It's like that would taste
yeah,
nasty.
that would be nasty.
How do you know you've never had it?
I mean, I've mixed spiced rum and Coke. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
And how
I've
did
heard
that
to do
turn
it with
out?
spiced rum better. But I've never actually had rum and coke, so I don't know.
Especially over ice.
On
Spiced
the
rum's one
rocks?
of
I
Yes.
think the mic is picking this up.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it
Enjoy
definitely
that,
is.
headphone users.
Okay, now it's picking us up when we're talking louder. Next time when we're doing it like this, we're getting a second table.
Up.
To Terminator Dark Fate.
No!
No!
I'm not gonna toast that.
You already toasted. Too late.
I didn't start drinking. To Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, I'll toast to that.
To Dark Fate.
I toasted to Dr. Sleep, so...
It gets rid of the bitter alcohol taste.
So, as you can tell, we're talking about two movies this time around.
Yep.
Talking about,
Technically, two of us are talking about one, and three of us are talking about another.
Yeah.
like I said, we're talking about Terminator Sleep and Dr. Fate. Wait.
Dr. Fate's son.
Dr. Sleep and Terminator Fate. Wait, no. Dr. Fate, Terminator Dark Fate, and Dr. Sleep. There we go.
We
Dr. Fate's
swear
a
he
DC
only
character.
had one sip, people.
Yeah, he had literally just one sip. If anything, me and her have had much more of this bottle.
Yeah. You got first sip
And even
and
then,
then...
it's a wine cooler.
Yeah,
So it
there's
will do
like,
nothing to
what,
us.
3.2? Yeah, 3.2 alcohol. There's like none in here.
Well, clearly we now know how this is going to go in future podcasts. Keep my hands away from it.
Anyway, I'm gonna let y'all talk about Terminator, and I'm gonna sit back here and chill.
Dark Fate sucks.
Yeah,
End of story.
I told you it sucked. Like before, when the trailers came out, my first reaction was, "Oh, another Terminator sequel." Yeah, I've been fooled by these 3 times now. It's not gonna happen. I don't want to see it
But you saw it.
because you wanted us to.
Yes, because it's a movie that's a sequel, and it looked bad. People gave it good ratings, but we knew it was going to be bad.
Which I don't get, by the way.
Which is
Because the audience score is also really high, and I don't get it.
that's part of the new rule with us now. If we see something that we think is going to be bad, and we know it's going to be bad, but everyone else seems to think it's good when it's really bad, that's a new part of the rule when we watch.
Well,
movies.
most people in our position hated this movie.
Yeah,
So,
because we actually remembered the other Terminator films.
specifically 1 and 2.
Mostly 1 and 2. I'd never seen 3, or Salvation, or Genesis.
You're not missing anything good.
I'm still gonna watch them at some point, just to say that I did. and just straight up ignore it. I actually have a list of things that I wrote down regarding Terminator Dark Fate.
Yeah, because you were listing notes the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's a long list.
I was pulling an Angry Joe when he saw Fant 4-Stick. Okay, so...
I haven't watched that movie since we did our video on it.
Neither have I. But, let's see. To start things off, Arnold Schwarzenegger T-800 kills John within the first 2 minutes, and then apparently it grows a conscience, or as he says, something remotely similar to a conscience. And then he feels sad about it.
That was Russian.
Yeah, I know, I'm lightheaded. Really, my head's starting to hurt. There were... really, with the exception of the de-aging software at the start, some of the effects were really bad.
I don't think the effects are bad. The effects are actually all pretty good.
It's just... They look fake to me because there's a lack of realism in this movie.
Yeah.
As much realism you can get out of a movie about a time-traveling killbot.
Yeah, believe it or not, all the other films before this, except Genesis, specifically except Genesis, they at least seemed partially feasible.
Yeah, Genesis is another bag of worms with alternate timeline and alternate continuity things going on, which that actually interests me for the wrong reasons, which is why that's the only reason I'm going to watch it.
Well, Genesis is just awful. It makes no sense. And that's why Genesis is awful.
Yeah.
That and, Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese, no.
Oh, right. And after that, it just cuts to 22 years later.
No, let's keep talking about the fact that they fucking kill John Connor in fucking cold blood so casually in the first 2 minutes of the movie before the title sequence even starts playing.
Here's the biggest question about that. How many Terminators did they send back in time to kill John? Did they just send a bunch of seeds at different parts of the world?
I told you earlier that there's certain things about this film that it's like I cannot suspend my disbelief enough to accept it. One of those things is the fact that Skynet would send several Terminators back in time, more than just the two, and they would spread them out, even in a date after they had already taken over.
Yeah, and that most of them were T-800s because they only sent back one T-1000, which Arnold said in the second movie it was an advanced prototype and all that. And
which, don't even get me started on how that... No, actually, it doesn't ruin... remembering Terminator 3's plot, it doesn't ruin Terminator 3's... It doesn't give that a plot hole.
Nor do you really give a shit.
I also don't care, because I don't like Terminator 3.
You like it a lot more than this movie.
I like it more than basically all the other sequels after 2.
Yeah. But, okay, and the idea, after they kill John, they just cut ahead to 22 years later. So, nothing interesting happens during that time? Nothing?
Apparently not, except apparently all of a sudden Sarah Connor has become a Terminator.
Busting badass. And apparently, which is revealed later in the movie, the old T-800.
Yeah, she's getting texts from Arnold, who knows when and where they're going to show up, and then he sends her texts because he feels bad about killing John Connor, even though he's a robot.
Yeah, this is a complete paradox.
No,
because
in fact, let's get into Arnold real quick, 'cause that's fucking...
You mean Carl?
Yeah, let's get into Carl. This is fucking stupid.
Carl?
So, the robot who was programmed to kill a child...
A literal cold-blooded killing machine.
Exactly. Does his mission and then feels bad about it. To the point where not only is he trying to give the mom purpose, he's also... he goes for a walk down the beach. He starts a family. And he starts making drapes.
Yeah, there's a legitimately serious conversation that Arnold is having with what's her name, Maya or something?
I don't remember any of the characters' names. That's not a good sign.
I know. Let's see. I know that there's Sarah. There's Grace.
Yeah, I remember Grace. I don't remember the female John Connor's name.
Just calling her Maya. Close enough.
Yeah,
He was talking with Maya
she's
so
what
seriously
about
the drapes.
Real quick, that character is exactly what everybody says Rey is in the Star Wars sequels.
No,
she's exactly what everybody says Rey is. She's not what Rey is.
No.
Like she reminds me so much of, she's like a female version of Sieg from Fate Apocrypha, and I hate it.
She's a Mary Sue.
She is a Mary Sue.
And it's fucking stupid. But seriously, nothing happened between those 22 years
that we want to see, apparently. No, it doesn't surprise me, because let's get into the fact that now that Skynet's destroyed, and never going to happen, a new operating system
called Legion.
Yeah, called Legion, which is a disgustingly on-the-nose name.
Yeah, there's so much on-the-nose symbolism
that.
in this movie. So much on-the-nose symbolism in this movie.
Yeah.
And on top of that...
This is the other major thing that I cannot suspend my disbelief enough to accept. The idea that another supercomputer type thing would take over the world that's not Skynet and still have machines called Terminators and still create a time machine and send something back in time to do the same thing Skynet did.
Yeah. And when they do send these things back, back to the T-1000, he blended in. He acted like he was a human. He engaged in conversation with people to get information. And
to be fair, so did the Legion Terminator.
Until Grace displayed no subtlety of blending in when she arrived.
Well, she's not a Terminator.
No, but she's an advanced
Yeah, but she
human.
That was stupid. Is essentially not blending in even remotely.
No. What the Rev 9? Because I took a note on what it was fucking called. That is literally probably the only good thing in the movie, aside from the fact that Arnold's
and even
name
then,
is
it's
Carl.
basically just the same thing as the T-1000.
Yeah, except instead of just being made of liquid...
No, actually, it's the same thing that was in Terminator 3, except that in Terminator 3 it couldn't separate the liquid metal and the endoskeleton.
Yeah.
Which just made everybody say, okay, that feels like a downgrade.
Yeah, it can split itself apart and the liquid can form another body, the outer layer, while the endoskeleton...
It could still do whatever it wants to do.
Yeah, and the way that the Rev 9 is animated when the liquid's moving around, it reminds me so much of a fucking symbiote. And, again, the Rev 9 and Arnold are probably the only good things in this movie.
I don't even like Arnold because I don't like what they did with him.
No, this isn't the Arnold we know. This is another Arnold. This is a Carl. Look, Carl talking about drapes was funny,
but I hated it.
Yeah, you hated it for all the right reasons. Yeah, but on top of that, I don't like Grace in this movie. She's a fucking asshole.
I'm fine with all that, because my big problem with it is that she's just Kyle Reese.
Only done worse.
She's Kyle Reese enhanced, and... yeah, no, that's exactly the problem. She's just Kyle Reese.
Only she has somehow less personality than Reese did.
Well, that's because Michael Biehn was a treasure.
Wait, is he dead?
No, he's still around.
Okay, good, because you said was a treasure, and I was like, wait, did he pass away?
I mean, that we're going to make an Alien 5 that pretended Alien 3 and Resurrection didn't happen.
No. Alien 6, because remember, if they're doing Alien 5, then it would be a Genesis, where they completely change the timeline around, and how the alien ended up fucking a human, and there's an alien-human hybrid.
No, they've already fucked Alien. But...
so it would be an Alien 6, where they completely make the first two aliens completely unnecessary.
Specifically aliens, that would piss me off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the if we didn't already have 6 Alien films, I'd say that's the pattern we're going down, because I swear the Terminator and Alien films have almost the exact same pattern, with the only difference is that I think Alien bottomed out immediately after Aliens.
You know, it's amazing that we can find a number of films that sort of pattern one another. Terminator and Aliens, the Batman and Superman movies from the 80s.
Oh yeah, you could definitely say that's the same pattern.
Specifically so.
Great, better,
decent. Oh my god, why? But that one scene in the movie when she was getting away with Maya and Diego. You know what? I'm just going to call her Dora now because her brother's name was Diego.
Dora, the
deported. But she was driving in the truck, and that one moment where she apparently had a fucking spider sense, and that's never brought up again.
No, it's not. It's never used again.
Why would you bother?
You see, the one interesting thing I think they did with Grace was the whole she essentially needs drugs to keep going.
That was the only interesting thing about her character.
Yeah, because that's something we've never seen before. Is that there is an inherent weakness to
enhancements.
To the thing that they sent back in time to protect. Because let's be honest, I mean, Kyle Reese is a human, so of course she's flawed against Terminator.
No, it'd be funny.
But,
no. Kyle Reese goes back in time, but he's one of those people that constantly needs heroin injections. That would be awful.
That would be awful.
But speaking of awful, stop me if you disagree, but there were points in this movie where the bullshittery was starting to blend in with the crap we got from Transformers.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
I mean, I don't think this movie is as bad as most of the Transformers films, because the Transformers films do this thing of how I can't stand the action because I can't tell what's going on. It's too grimy and disgusting and flashy.
They literally repackage the same shit and give it to you.
But it's also incredibly annoying with all the characters who can't shut the fuck up or spout annoying one-liners or jokes.
That hurt, man. It's supposed to hurt. It's an ass kick.
Or acts all racist or sexist. Or I hate those movies. But I didn't find this as bad as those. But in terms of just fucking with the legacy of something, I really hated this film.
It was very much irritating to watch when it got to a certain point where the Transformer shit blended in. And let's see, what did I have down for that one? Oh yeah, the pacing is rushed.
Many points, yes, it feels very rushed.
Yeah, because there's
specifically the beginning action scenes where it kind of feels like it's starting out and keeps going so that you can get to Linda Hamilton.
Yeah, which, speaking of her introduction, not that impressive.
No.
I don't even know if it would have helped if we hadn't seen it in the trailers. Yeah,
we saw it in the trailers. It doesn't help that I don't think they did anything good with Sarah Connor in this film. Like, nothing interesting came of her.
I'll be back.
Yeah, and that fucking line read.
Yeah.
They want to do the whole, well, let's hit some nostalgic points, so they'll have Sarah Connor say, "I'll be back." And then they'll have Arnold say, "I won't be back."
And then they'll have someone else say, "Hasta la vista, baby."
They did have that, didn't they?
I think they did. I actually don't remember because I've begun repressing this movie in my mind, which is why I took so many notes.
Yeah, no. The worst thing about this film is how much it just wants to shit on Terminator 1 and 2.
Yeah, it wants to shit on them.
It feels like the movie generally hates those films.
They act like they don't want them to exist anymore, but they're pulling the same cliches.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to, out with the old, in with the new, but they still want to sprinkle that old stuff in, like Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Fuck, what other movie did that same thing? Where they tried to ignore the past movies, but still sprinkle in the bullshit?
Last Jedi?
Maybe Force Awakens, but
no, Force
that was
Awakens
different.
didn't, because Force Awakens was still honoring the old. Last Jedi?
I don't know. I don't know if it was Star Wars or not, but you mentioned...
I mean, everybody likes to say it was, so...
Maybe it was Last Jedi. I can't exactly remember.
I know it was something else, but Last Jedi is a pretty big example.
But let's quickly go through the rest of this. Just gonna read down the notes that I took. Very rushed pacing. Paradoxes. Out the ass!
Yeah, again, that's part of why I can't suspend my disbelief. Like, how many Terminators did Skynet send back? Why did they spread them out so much? Why didn't they send all Terminators into the 80s? If they're going to do that, because I can accept it when it's just Terminator 1 and 2. Or even 3 onward, because that's a different Skynet sending them back.
I love the fact that they suspend, like, with big bad guys like this. And I'm pulling in references to Power Rangers, too, because I love Power Rangers, but I will continuously laugh at the fact that at numerous points in the original series, and especially in RPM, the main bad guy sends one monster at a time to deal with the Rangers. And Skynet is sending one robot at a time.
We're just going to send, right here, Terminator, and another Terminator, and another Terminator, and another Terminator, and another Terminator.
Yeah, because in RPM, it's very much a Terminator thing, because there's a computer virus that has taken over the world except for one portion of a small city. And they're trying to do that so that they can take over that city. But instead of building a legion of attack bots to go and throw at them, they send one monster at a time. Yeah.
No, the aliens in Godzilla Final Wars had the right idea. Let's use all the monsters. Let's send them to different cities, and we'll just destroy the planet that way.
You know what? On the topic of Power Rangers Zeo, they were fighting the Machine Empire. A literal empire. And they continued to do the same shit.
One monster, and another monster, and another monster, and another monster.
The thing is, the best invasion we got was Power Rangers in space. And with that, the robots and the foot soldiers still took turns, one after the other, attacking the Rangers occasionally. They're literally in an invasion.
I hate this story. I hate it when they do that so often.
Yeah, but eventually they do throw in like a number of foot soldiers, and the Rangers begin getting over.
It's one thing when they're hired hands.
Yeah,
it's another thing when they're
actual monsters. They're doing
when
their
you
best.
have them the whole time.
Yeah, In Space does it differently towards the end, where they actually have a number of foot soldiers start overcrowding and basically overpowering Rangers.
So it's like, I get it in Zoo Ranger, where she's basically just making them as she goes along.
Basically, that's the same thing with Mighty Morphin 2. Rita has Finster make them one at a time.
That's because it's Zoo Ranger.
Yeah. Yeah, but back to the notes. Back to the notes I got. I wrote down, the Rev 9 Terminators are designed decently weird. Like, the weird... like thing in the back of their head. It's not an actual skull. It's like sort of indented inward. I thought that was weird. Legion is the new Skynet, and that's also a cliched name.
Again, it's such an on-the-nose name that I don't know why they bothered.
Yeah. And Carl is the secret helper for Sarah via text for John, and all that. Let's see. Jumping through the border.
Which, again, speaking of that, why would they tattoo his coordinates on the Grace? What does he have to do with anything in the future?
Because he's the Terminator that was helping Sarah.
That's not an answer.
John. Then I don't know.
It's like they never explain that. Just like just like Terminator Genesis, where they never explain who sent Arnold back to save Sarah when she was a child. They never explain it.
I don't know. There's also a moment where they're jumping the border, and that's too easy of a joke to make that even Tristan would pass it up. Contrived. Everything in this movie, it has contrived writing, contrived dialogue, just painful dialogue.
The plot is essentially a mishmash of Terminator 1 and 2.
Only done horribly.
Because it's a mishmash that doesn't like Terminator 1 and 2.
Yeah. Which it uses, what's on the next on my list, cliches from the Terminator movies in the worst possible ways.
Now, again, it feels like it's mishmash, not even just from Terminator. Like, its plot feels like it's Terminator 1 and 2. but then like the Rev 9 feels like Terminator 3.
Yeah.
Whenever they went to the future, it looked like it was Terminator Salvation. The paradox, all that was about as confusing as Terminator Genesis.
Oh my god, they're trying to combine every Terminator movie into one piece of shit. And they successfully did it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. By the way, apparently, telling the truth about the crazy future worked for once. Her uncle, Maya's uncle. They told him about that, and it was like, okay.
Okay, sure. Whatever.
Oh yeah, let's not forget the fact that Sarah Connor is obsolete.
No, this is the thing. This is why I think this movie generally hates Terminator 1 and 2. Because they act like Sarah Connor didn't matter.
She really doesn't in this movie now.
Yeah, she doesn't in this movie. But they act like in Terminator 1 and 2, her contributions don't matter. Because it was the man that was born from her that mattered. They didn't care about her when they went back to save her. They cared about her womb. You know, let's completely disregard the fact that it's because of Sarah Connor that John Connor was actually would have been able to lead the resistance in the first place. Because she taught him everything he knew.
Yeah, she did. And they don't give a shit about it. Also, Carl's reveal
and not only that, but they're generalizing that that it's only her womb. Like, motherhood is this terrible, terrible thing.
It's not.
What the fuck is wrong with these people? People who write these movies nowadays.
I don't know. Also, was it just me or did Carl's reveal feel completely dragged out and not surprising at all?
It wasn't surprising at all. Because we saw it in the trailer.
Yeah.
Both of the trailers.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget that Carl is a fucking paradoxical anomaly. If Skynet...
Yeah, no, because they had to go into... Because Terminator 2, in order to send that T-800 back to protect himself, he had to program the Terminator to do that. And then they also had to somewhat mess with his chip a bit more so he could learn.
Yeah, not only that, but if they successfully destroyed every piece of tech in Terminator 2 and they stopped Skynet from happening, why didn't he cease to exist?
Because
Borrowing what you said in the Flashpoint Paradox review, which we haven't released yet, he should not exist!
Had this Carl been sent back and showed up in 1996, maybe I would possibly buy it a bit more. Because Skynet doesn't take over till 97. He shows up in 98.
No, I don't...
After Skynet would have formed, so why would they send the Terminator back there anyway? No, I understand. The remnants of this time, they still sent them back.
No.
It's like they're not just gonna not show up at that point.
No, if they sent them back, and it doesn't really matter, because with the way they're trying to describe how time travel works in these movies, if they sent the Terminator back to 96, even though Skynet takes place in 98...
97.
97, right.
Again, that's why it makes no sense for him to show up in 98.
Even if he was sent back in 96, he still would have been erased had they gone through and made sure Skynet didn't...
Remember, that would also mean the Terminator and Terminator 1 would have been erased, and Terminator and Terminator 2 would have been erased. So I'm willing to accept that. But it's the fact that they sent multiple back at different times, including times after they had already taken over, so what's the fucking point?
Yeah, it's the
time wave. And remember,
shit
they
all
didn't
over
just
again.
do it in 98. They were sending Terminators all throughout the 2000s.
Yeah. It's the time wave bullshit all over again. Again, Flashpoint Paradox review, we're working on it. And, yeah, T-800's name is Carl. Kind of funny. Another funny line, all the guns he has, this is Texas.
Okay, that was funny.
Yeah.
That was genuinely funny. He's like, I had imagined there was a 12% possibility that humanity would still screw up. Also, this is Texas. You have to say it like Arnold.
Yeah.
This is Texas.
This is Texas. Also, the new future is bullshit and illogical.
Okay, it's basically the same as old future, except it's ruled by a different AI.
That's why it's bullshit and illogical. And the sky battle is boring. With the two airplanes and shit. That's
It's boring because it's so over the top.
and unrealistic.
That I don't feel any tension here.
No sense of tension or probability or believability.
It doesn't help that they essentially have two things that are about as strong as the thing they're fighting.
Yeah. You'd think that wouldn't make it boring, but it does. The last few pieces I have are boring, still going, so much improbability. No realism about a movie with robots from the future. When will it end? They win, but how are they going to deal with the next one that comes after that? Because
There will be no next one.
Because it ends with Maya going off with Sarah so that she can train her to be the new John
leader
Connor.
of the future peoples.
Yeah, and she's trying to say that she won't let
Which
Grace
essentially
die
means
again.
there was a causality. Which essentially means there was another causality loop, meaning this is once again just Terminator 1.
Yeah, and they're saying that they're going to make sure that Grace doesn't die again, which, if this is a fixed point in time that she had to die in order to go back, she had to go back in time to help her become the new leader, so that she would eventually die for her to become the new leader.
You see, Kyle Reese hadn't been born yet in Terminator 1, so...
This movie sucks. It's confusing as hell.
How about the fact that
boring.
How about the fact that it ends the same way as about 3 other Terminator films?
Yeah.
With the T-800 making a noble sacrifice.
You're right. That's 3 endings now.
That is 4 times that one of these movies has ended this way.
So it was 2,
Terminator 2,
3,
3, Genesis, and now Dark Fate.
Oh. How did they explain Arnold coming back in Terminator 3?
Judgment Day is inevitable. You just delayed it. Judgment Day happens at the end of Terminator 3.
Oh, and that leads into Salvation?
And that leads into Salvation, and then Genesis is some weird parallel thing.
Say what you want about Terminator 3 and Salvation, but they at least continue with the sort of set
It
plot.
makes sense, even though I still hate them because they essentially devalue the end of Terminator 2. You know, no fate, but what we make. Guess not.
Yeah, apparently not.
If Judgment Day is inevitable.
Yeah, well.
Alright, you done?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about this anymore. We're gonna talk about it enough at the end of the year.
You're right. We've still got about, 8 movies
You
left
drank
to
most
see
of
this
it,
year.
dude.
Sorry.
I'll go get you another bottle.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm
It's
already
fine. It's
up, I'm already
fine.
up. I'm already up.
I'm not looking to get drunk tonight.
There's another bottle. We're already up. It's already up.
Well, we're not driving, so...
I've still never been drunk and don't intend to be.
I doubt 0.03% alcohol is going to get you that drunk.
3% alcohol.
3% alcohol is going to get you that drunk. But we have about 8 movies left to see this year. Hopefully we'll see all the ones we want to see. Or have to see.
Yeah.
Because I want to see Jumanji at the next level.
Same.
But I think it's required for us to watch Frozen 2.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
At least me and him.
Yeah. Yeah, you can opt out of that if you want to. Because
2 actually looks better than the first one.
that's what people are saying.
There's nothing really that wrong with Frozen 1.
Yeah, Lena, you just have to let it go. That will never not be a joke that can be made.
can't wait till the Kingdom Hearts 3 Let's Play.
Yeah, you and Tristan are gonna hate that.
Why?
Because they sing the entirety of that song.
In that level.
Oh, God.
On a continuous
That is
loop.
the only...
No.
No, not on the continuous loop, just for the duration of the song.
No.
They sing the entire thing. And that's the only one they sing.
That's the only song they sing, huh?
Yep.
No. No.
Yes! Anyway, let's talk about something good.
Please?
Stephen King dorks. Let's talk about Dr. Sleep.
Yes, let's talk about that.
You know, the movie that's not Terminator, Dark Fate.
No, but this movie still sucked. What?
Really?
Had you going there, didn't I?
Not really.
Still,
Yeah.
though, there were parts in this movie that were really bad, though.
Sure.
Like...
I love the fact that you two constantly think I'm a liar. Let's see, what did I write down for this? I didn't take a lot of notes in Dr. Sleep, but what I did put down for it, let's see. It was good as a sequel to The Shining.
I mean, it is a sequel to The Shining, so...
No, as a sequel to The Shining, it's great. As a movie itself, it's great.
Where's the butt?
There's no but, that's all I got.
I thought you said there were parts that you thought were bad. You were lying, weren't you?
Yes.
We knew you were.
Well, you knew I was.
You had me going there for a second.
I told you. Careful, guys. The mic is still going to pick up you slamming the glasses down.
I didn't.
Sorry, headphone users.
Well, they're probably not going to hear it that bad.
It went all the way to the top. Again, sorry, headphone users. Alright, you guys talk about what you liked. I'm going to have another sip.
Okay, so I've read the book.
I have not.
Me either.
Yeah, I actually read the book back when it came out, because I got it from my dad for Christmas. He read it, then I read it. I really liked the book. In fact, I think it's... I mean, I didn't read all of The Outsider, but what I did read of that I thought was really good. But all of the recent King books I've read, which would essentially just be that, and I'm forgetting the name of the one with the lightning.
Did you read...
The Lightning Thief.
No.
I was like, the only recent one I can think of is the one that had the date on it.
11/22/63. It was Nick, John JFK's murder happened in that book.
That one. That was the only
I
one.
don't remember the name of the other book I read.
You're Googling it, aren't you?
Yes. Because I know they're adapting that one.
Which one is it? Oh, you poor soul. Can't remember.
I can find it. I can find it. Back to close. I think close.
While he does that, I'd say the acting in this was really good. Especially, she's not really a child actor, but she's still young enough to fall into that category, and she was really good in this. Ewan McGregor, though, that man has become a treasure. And, let's see. What else is there? What were those guys called? Were they called gassers, or?
The True Knot.
The Churnut?
True Knot.
True Knot. Why are they called the True Knot?
I don't know.
Because they kept making you tell the truth.
No, they're just called the True Knot.
Oh.
Besides,
That
I
was
think.
just a guess.
Besides, I think only one of them had that power. Another one.
I remember it.
Two of them did.
What?
Revival.
Oh.
Oh! My mom has that one.
Yeah, again, I like Doctor Sleep more than... I don't like Revival, actually.
My mom has that book. I bought it for her.
Because Revival is like the opposite Stephen King book, where it's like the last 30 pages are really good. Everything leading up to that is really fucking boring.
I got a question to ask you when we get off here.
But because I actually think Doctor Sleep's a much better book than that, because at least Doctor Sleep, like, depending on no matter what you think of the story, I came out of the book of Doctor Sleep saying to myself, Danny Torrance is the best character Stephen King has ever written.
Okay.
You'd kill for a Stephen King cinematic universe, wouldn't you?
Not really, because it kind of already exists.
Yeah.
They reference Derry and Pet Sematary.
No, I'm talking about Danny Torrance meeting up with the It kids all grown up.
Oh, that would be interesting.
That'd be interesting. I don't see that ever happening.
Me
Not
either.
even in the books.
No, that could be a complete skit. Like, they're at a bar one night for, like, mysteriously disturbed children, all grown up or something.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, at this point in time in the book universe, they don't even remember They don't remember Derry or Pennywise at all.
Well, suspend your
that would have been fun.
suspend your disbelief here. Richie is there having a drink. Bill's on the other side of the table, and then Dan walks up and says, "So you guys faced a giant clown, huh? I've got a couple stories for you."
Yeah, which one do you want to hear first? The Evil Hotel or the Immortal Vampires?
And then Bill goes, "Immortal vampires?" And Richie goes, "Evil Hotel?" And then Bev and Ben walk in and go, "Oh, you guys gonna tell him about the giant spider?"
Yeah.
Talk about the giant cloud spider.
Hi, my name's Dan Torrance. We're the Losers Club. Welcome to the Losers Club, mate.
And then one of the kid from Salem's lot comes in and it's like, guys, a town full of vampires.
Yeah, don't worry, mate. I was just about to tell them about that.
Roland Dashlane comes in and is like, oh, you guys got no idea.
And
You guys get in that damn tower.
then Pennywise walks in and goes, "Hey guys!" That'd be a funny skit.
It would be even funnier.
Let's work on that. We need a lot of people, especially for the Salem slot, and after that, guys.
I was just thinking it'd be really funny if I can't remember his name right now, but the main character in Pet Sematary walked in at this, like right after that and was like, "Yo guys, you ain't seen shit."
I got a story to tell.
No. If it's more salt in the wound, it's the end of the 2019 Pet Cemetery, and the zombified guy walks in.
Oh, God.
The survivor from Carrie.
Oh wow! Boy, we went out on a tangent.
I would bring up Rainy Season, but that technically wasn't made into a movie.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, it was you guys talking about Dr. Sleep. I already made my piece.
Yeah, and then I had to look up Revival.
Yeah.
And then
That's getting an adaptation. I hope it's better than the book.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I know my mom's gonna see it.
Now, everybody keeps being like, "Oh, Revival's like the best thing he's written in forever," and I'm like, really? Because that book just really fucking meanders for like 300 pages, and then just suddenly gets good at the end. Yes, please.
All right, fill him up.
So that we can actually talk about Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
And not just Stephen King stuff.
We never did a Stephen King cast, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Not really. Outside of it, Chapter 2.
No, I could have sworn we did one where we talked about all of them.
Mm-mm. Because that would take forever.
Alright, fair enough.
True.
Anyway, wait. Never mind, sorry.
I'll look it up later. Pretty sure we didn't.
Because every single work that he's done, whether it be book or the adaptations, kind of deserves its own little video
Yeah.
or a podcast or whatever. We didn't.
No.
I know we didn't.
Thought we.
We only did.
No, you guys were doing a marathon.
Yeah, we wanted to, but then we figured out we didn't have time.
Yeah.
So we didn't do it. Stop looking it up. Outside of it, Chapter 2, we did not do it.
Yeah, we only talked about it. Talked about it twice.
We did?
Pretty sure we did.
Yeah, me, you, and Tristan had the video when Chapter 1 came out.
Oh. Yeah. I just remember we did the Revisiting Endgame one too. It's overrated now.
Yes.
Anyway.
We need to stop meandering. You know what? Just go watch Dr. Sleep. Don't listen to us ramble on about it.
Well, we gotta talk about the stuff that we liked about it.
I already made my piece.
I really enjoyed it. I liked the callbacks to the original Shining.
You mean the last half of the movie?
Yeah.
The last third. Because this movie is essentially...
Technically well, I mean... Was the one with Jack Nicholson the original?
Yes.
Yeah, I like the recalls to that.
Yeah, that's basically what they were referring to. Because they're not going to bring up the mini-series of The Shining, because that sucked.
Now, again, no, because there's still a lot to talk about with this movie, just in how it was made. No, don't do that.
Continue.
Again, for instance, we had the fact that this movie essentially has to please, like, 4 different people all at the same time.
It's actually not bad.
Give it a shot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we went off topic again. I just mixed a little bit of the Seagrams with Dr. Thunder, and it's surprisingly good.
Mixed drinks for the win.
Yep. There's the lightheadedness again. Alright, with how the movie was made.
Yeah, because this movie had to please 4 different types of people.
Yeah.
Fans of
the
book, The Shining. Fans of the book, Dr. Sleep.
Yep.
Fans of the movie, The Shining.
Yeah.
Because they are 2 very different things.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And Stephen King.
Yep. And that's technically 5.
Yeah.
No, that's 4.
Well, you listed it as 5.
No, I listed it as 4. Fans of the book, The Shining. Fans of the book, Dr. Sleep. Fans of the movie, The Shining. Stephen King.
Then you said fans of the movie of The Shining twice.
No.
Yeah, you did.
No, after I said fans of the movie The Shining, I said which are 2 very different things.
Anyway.
Moving on.
Which I would have found it impossible to adapt this that way. Because, again, Stephen King hates Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
All because of Jack.
No, he hates it for a multitude of reasons.
I thought it was just because of Jack.
Jack was a major reason why he really hated it.
Why?
Because the book The Shining, to King, is the most personal book he's ever written.
Well, yeah.
Because he was Jack at one time. In fact, he was Jack for a long time.
Interesting.
Where he was a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
He was afraid he was going to hurt his kid. He was afraid he was going to hurt someone else. Mm-hmm. And so he wrote a book about a man who is like that, who ends up falling, who's trying to get better, but falls to evil, essentially. Yeah. So, and Stanley Kubrick didn't do that. Stanley Kubrick made a movie about a crazy guy who goes to a hotel full of ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me the ghosts weren't in the book?
Ghosts are totally in the book.
Yeah, they are.
Again, he falls to evil, which is the hotel is evil.
Yeah.
Alright, that's kind of what I saw in The Shining. Jack does fall to evil. He doesn't.
Yeah, he does fall to evil, but he's crazy the whole time.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the movie, you can tell just by the look on his face, like he's already kind of insane.
Well, that's kind of the fault of Jack Nicholson.
He didn't really need the help. King hated the fact that Jack Nicholson was cast.
Yeah, that's probably the main reason why.
No, Kubrick wrote it that way. He wrote, directed, filmed, and had Nicholson act that way. Because that was what Kubrick wanted. King did not want that. King wanted him to tell the story of the book, which Kubrick didn't really do. I mean, the basic plot is still there. Dude gets hired on winter caretaker at a hotel, at a secluded hotel. Hotel's full of ghosts. Kid has psychic powers. Ghosts want kid's psychic powers. Mm-hmm. That's the basic plot of The Shining, and that is what that is all Kubrick's movie followed. But it's like, in terms of the themes, characterization of both Jack and Wendy, the way the hotel essentially worked, all very different in the movie than in the book.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hell, in the book The Shining, the only death in the book is Jack. Jack is the only character who dies in the book.
You fucked up, Kubrick.
No, and here's the thing. I love Kubrick's film. Kubrick's film is technically my favorite Stephen King film, despite the fact that it doesn't follow the book almost at all.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the book. I love the book and the movie for two very different reasons. The movie is probably my favorite horror movie. It's between that and Evil Dead 2. So when I was saying that this film had to please 4 people, I fall into the category of 3 of those people. I am a fan of the movie, The Shining, the book, The Shining,
and you're Stephen King.
No, I am not Stephen King. That would be a twist. No, I'm also a fan of the book Dr. Sleep.
No. If you were Stephen King and that was the twist, then your life would be a movie directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, it was like, especially when we got to the end of Dr. Sleep, the film. Mm-hmm. That is the point where I realized I now see why King was okay with them adapting it this way. Because he essentially gave Danny the same end that King wanted for Jack. Because that's essentially how Jack... That's not
how
exactly how
Jack
Jack goes out in the book, but it's very close.
Yeah,
the hotel burns down, the evil is essentially vanquished for the most part, and life goes on.
So does that make this part 2 of a long overdue 2-part movie series?
I don't know about that. Because...
Can you see double features of this in the future?
I can see double features of this and The Shining, yes. Even though they feel very different from each other, because it's like, the film, The Shining, is very Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
And then this movie feels very Stephen King.
You have to admit, there are moments in this movie where there are elements of Kubrick.
There are Kubrickisms in it, definitely. But it definitely feels more Stephen King's story than it does Mike Flanagan's story, which makes sense, because Flanagan seems to be somebody who has a very deep respect for Stephen King. Like, he also directed the adaptation of Gerald's Game that came on Netflix a few years ago, which I still haven't watched it. But it's like, the only 2 films I've seen from Mike Flanagan are this and Oculus, and I loved Oculus. So...
Well, alright. What about you, Lean? How'd you feel about Dr. Sleep?
I enjoyed the movie. Yeah. From what I did see, because I actually do enjoy the original version of The Shining. I liked the callbacks to it, like I said moments ago. And I like the way that the other characters and everything were portrayed. I think it was a great movie.
Now to talk about some of the differences from the book, aside from the ending.
Alright, guys, this is where you can, cut out and go watch a different video.
Yeah.
No, there are some legit things that they did kind of tone down or change or keep out that it didn't bother me, but it was definitely kind of like, do you remember the wife and child with Danny at the beginning of the film?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the book, and they do some of it in the film, but in the book, Dan finds out that they're dead when she shows up as a ghost. Her and her son show up as a ghost. However, the big difference, there is a difference, is that in the book, even before she showed up, Dan felt, and he does through the entire book, He feels like that was the biggest mistake, fuck up he ever did, was taking her money and essentially leaving them to die.
Wait, he did take their money?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. Shit, I thought he gave some of it
he
back.
He felt, and he kept telling himself that he was a monster for doing that, and that's a theme throughout the whole book, is that he cannot forgive himself for this. Despite the fact that when she shows up as a ghost, she says to him, it doesn't matter.
Was it his fault, though? I mean, she took his money.
I mean, again, in the book, she even shows up and is like, it doesn't matter. We were going to run out of that money anyway, and it would have happened this way. And until he fesses up to the Alcoholics Anonymous group at the very end of the book that he did that, he feels terrible about it.
Again,
Which that was one of the reasons I found him so compelling in the book. That's because it's like you're following a damaged guy.
yeah, again, I thought that. Oh well, I think that
You okay?
since brain fart. I thought since she took his money, that was her fault that he took hers.
I don't think that was the case in the book. I think it was that he didn't have in the book. I think it was just that he didn't have any cash, and he needed cash.
Well, in the movie, it suggested that.
Yeah,
she
it's
did.
suggested in the film. Even then, it's still not right.
It wasn't right for her to take his money to begin with.
I mean, they both used his money. They both did the coke.
Yeah, but she still probably used more of it.
It's still his money. He used his money. That was him using his money for coke.
He shouldn't have been.
He was making excuses.
He shouldn't have been snorting coke to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's on him. Another thing, and this is the best change I think they made to the book, because it also goes into the ending of the film, is that in the book, you see in the film that he's in Florida with his mom as a child, and the remnants of the Overlook are coming after him.
Yep.
Essentially. That is a thing in the book, too. However, in the book, he locks them up in his mind, and you don't see them again. That's kind of just where they are for the rest of the story and never mentioned again.
They're mentioned again in the movie.
They're mentioned again a lot in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's a change I actually really liked.
That he was holding on to them, like making sure that they
No,
wouldn't
because
get out.
my thoughts reading the book were, okay, so he's going to end up unleashing them at the end, right? He doesn't.
He does in the movie.
Yeah, again, he does in the movie. It's like, because that was essentially felt like a Chekhov's gun in the book. It feels like something they were setting up and they just didn't use.
It was weird that they tried to. Well, it's not weird. If someone locked you up for like 22 years or something in a box and they unleashed you to deal with someone else, you'd want to turn on them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if someone locked up Jungkook and you would want to take revenge on them. Or if someone locked up or shrunk and then locked up Godzilla, you would want to free it and unleash it on them.
Yeah, but
Technically not the same thing, but
It's not
you
the
get my
same thing
point.
at all. No, I don't get your point, actually. Because it wasn't the same thing that you just suggested.
Okay, so someone shrinks Godzilla.
I know what you're saying, but what you're suggesting is a very different thing, so the point doesn't work.
Someone shrinks down Godzilla.
No, just stop.
Someone locks up Jungkook.
Again, just stop. The analogy isn't working.
just let him finish.
No, he already finished. He's just trying to reiterate it.
So someone shrinks Jungkook.
What the...
Anyway.
Someone shrinks Godzilla's tail.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Right. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I don't think you knew where you were going with this from the start.
No, I did. I just can't remember. Is there anything else to talk about with this? Because the truth knots were pretty cool too.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, we could talk about how and the book did this too, is they actually did a pretty good job of making us understand them. And
that they're essentially vampires.
Well, they essentially are. But
Mm-hmm.
how it's like we kind of understood them. It's like it's not often that we get bad guys where
you can relate to
it's
them.
like you can kind of relate to them.
I don't know. I didn't really relate to them.
I mean, I didn't relate to them either, but it's like I got where they were coming from.
Not really. Not for me.
No, because they wanted longer life. They didn't want to die. They had a whole group community thing going on.
And when one of them did die,
it's like they just like to hang out and
fumes.
be regular people.
Yeah, and then when one of them
For all
does die,
eternity.
they ended up snorting their fumes to live longer.
Hey, don't let the steam go to waste.
It's kind of a sick and twisted thing, though. It's like they're vampires that feed on O-negative blood. It's like super, super rare.
I'm about to say, according to vampires, O-negative is the best tasting.
And the more that they eat, the less that there is. So...
Well, people keep being born with The Shining, so...
Yeah. How many more do you think there are? Like, towards the end of the movie and the book?
You never do find out, right?
No.
You think that she'll end up going to try and train another one like Danny did for her? Or if Danny...
Oh, Dick Halloran said that it goes around.
Do you think Dan sticks around as Abby's Tony for
Maybe.
for the rest of her life? I can imagine him in her classroom in the back of her mind, just going, "Hey, Danny, can you see what that kid over there has for answer number 21 on the test?"
Albert,
No.
this is not what the power's supposed
This
to
is
be
not what
used
The
for.
Shining's for.
Yeah, well,
Come on, help me out.
I need to pass this test. My mom wants me to get into Harvard.
When I'm 16. When I'm 16, Dan.
Ah, fine. He has D. Is it right?
D.
I don't know.
C. A. D. B.
And then she just walks up, slams the paper on the teacher's desk, and goes, "I knew none of it. I just gave up. See ya."
Yeah. Anyway.
This movie was good.
It was good.
So did we like it more than It Chapter 2?
No.
You didn't? Did you?
Yes.
I need to give that more thought.
No, there's a reason I say no.
Because you love Pennywise.
Because I like them both equally.
Oh, okay.
It Chapter 2 has some pacing problems. I just couldn't get around.
Alright, so... if today is the 9th,
Yes.
then next week... I got no clue what we're going to be doing for next week.
We'll think about it.
I don't think there's another movie coming out next week.
Ford versus Ferrari comes out next week.
I'm still torn on whether I want to see that or not.
Well, Jeremy gave it an awesome tacular.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'll have enough money to see it. Plus, I'll be busy again next week, too.
Ducky, I'll find out what we do when we do it.
Yep.
Alright, well, we'll see you guys, and remember, shin on.
Shine on.
Shh, you want to get sued?